Hey, what's up, guys? Ryan and Mandy here with Standup Paddleboards, and you might have just seen Pearl. Pearl is our extremely vicious security dog that protects our shop and brings people in because she likes pets. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us today. We have a bunch of great sales, and we also have a really cool reason. So I want to talk about that real quick first. This is our 1-year anniversary since we've opened the showroom. So we've been around making the raddest boards in the world for 6 years now, but we first opened our showroom a year ago today. So we have a bunch of really great sales that we are putting on strictly on this live stream. We may have these sales move over to our actual showroom next 2 weekends, 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now is when we're doing it.
Yeah.
But right now, so this is exclusive for the live stream. We're going to be with you guys till noon today. And after lunch today, these sales will no longer be around unless you are local and you want to come check us out at our big showroom anniversary sale. So we are going to answer any questions you have about our boards, any questions you have about our brand. Just put them in the comments section. And Eric's behind the camera there. He's our production genius. He is going to let us know when you guys ask questions, read them out for us. I might just peek in there and see what they are. And we'll answer them live. Hopefully we can get some cool conversation going just about the sport in general, the things we've done, why we do them. And basically whatever questions you have about our boards, the artwork, it's all good.
It's all good, yeah. So when C got started, we were selling premium inflatable stand-up paddleboards on the internet. But we live in White Rock, which is a super cool town right by the ocean with like an amazing beach for paddleboarding. And people would Google us and find out that we lived in White Rock. So we were serving locals out of our garage, which, you know, is cool. They come in, we're like, this is a board that I actually ride, and these are all the places we ride it, and just help set people up. And they loved that intimate relationship coming right into our home. But, you know, our 4-year-old at the time, it kind of got old for him. People just dropping by on a random Saturday afternoon when he's playing in the yard. So here we are, and we can serve everyone way better. Plus, we have a sweet setup so that we can show you guys everything we have. So thank you. Thank you for coming and checking it out.
And just to expand on showing boards in our garage, we used to get people that would just show up randomly on a Sunday, really confused because they would drive an hour and a half to our home, which we had listed on Google. And they kind of creeper speed by the front lawn and like park in the road and get out and say, and knock on the door and say, is this a surf shop? Sort of, we would say. We'd go into our garage and go through the whole thing until our son filled up a water gun with pond water and somebody got soaked with stinky water. If you're on the stream, apologies for that. That was a couple years ago now.
Yeah,
but
she
did
got
get
set up with a couple Cartamarinas, and I think we gave her like a free dry bag.
Yeah,
we didn't have the apparel yet to give her a fresh shirt.
Yeah, so again, thank you so much, everybody, for the support over the years. It's been really awesome to serve the locals, serve people in all different countries, and watch our brand grow and be able to support the sport itself by providing ongoing education, lessons, all these kinds of things. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah.
And I think we may as well just get on to the sales.
Let's get into
Let's get into the sales.
Yeah.
Take it away.
So, you know what? We honestly promote safety and fun, but like safety comes first. And I teach lessons once in a while, and I never do a lesson with less than 2 people. I don't do just single lessons because it's always more fun with 2 people. And if you get into trouble, you got someone there to help you out. Now, trouble, you know, means you were trying that sick pivot turn and you lost your paddle. You want someone to go and chase it while you're getting back on your board or something. Or you're just chilling out and you want to clamp your leashes together and hang out and just enjoy watching the porpoise come around. Anyways, we think 2 is better than 1, which is why we are doing the 35% BOGO. So whatever board you want, whatever board your partner wants, we're going to give you 35% off that second board so that you guys can get set up together, because I get a lot of calls where one partner is getting a board and they're like, if we like it, I'll get my wife a board. And I'm like, you know what? Let's talk about your wife here. Let's get the first one for her, and then you get yours.
So just
I'll advocate for you.
Really quick about the BOGO sale. So far, our live stream doesn't actually have the functionality to provide the BOGO sale within the stream itself. So the BOGO sale is now live on both of our websites. So you can add 2 boards to your cart. And then when you get to the checkout page, you can enter BOGO 35, just BOGO 35.
Buy one, get one. That's what BOGO is.
You'll get 35% off that second board. And so that applies to, like Mandy said, any of our boards, our ULF line, our CX line. There's tons of great options out there for what board you want to ride. Plus, there's different artwork that maybe suits your individual idea of what a board should look like and that sort of thing. So,
yeah. Can I show my favorite board?
Yeah.
Let's show my favorite board. Yeah.
There she goes.
There we go. So this is the Elemental Wave. This is the Elemental Wave ULF, and it is the shape that I always ride. It's an all-around 10'6" by 32, and now that a lot of our followers, our supporters have, been on a paddleboard and they can stand up, they don't need one with extra stability anymore. This is what you need. Like 80% of paddlers, this is the board. It's not more than you need. It's easy to maneuver. It's super duper light. When you're pumping up your board, if you ever hold plank, you know that 30 seconds can seem like the longest 30 seconds of your life. And so cut that out and don't inflate more than you need to. Honestly, I can still take our 2 kids and Pearl on this board with me in the open ocean. So honestly, this is my personal favorite, and I think you're going to love it too.
So the all-around shape, just to give you a little bit of what that actually means, typically an all-around shape carries the width for a lot more of the length of the board, if that makes sense. If you think of a touring board, it's usually widest around the middle or just forward of the middle of the board, and then it tapers really quick. An all-around shape is round at the front, it's round at the back, and it's a little bit wider for a little bit longer. That provides a little bit extra volume, which makes the board more stable. Plus, it also makes it more well-rounded. It's kind of like using the word round a lot here, but it makes it well-rounded for a lot of different kinds of riders. If you're a shorter rider, taller rider, things like that. I'm 220 pounds. I can ride this board no problem, and it's actually a lot of fun for me because comparatively, from my size, it's a little bit on the small side in terms of paddleboards, which means I can maneuver it a lot. There's a lot of things I can do with it to make it a lot more fun. I can surf on this board, which is something we don't really promote a ton, but if you are into surfing, it's something that you can do with rail shapes and stuff. We won't get into it too much. Inflatable boards aren't amazing on surf,
but honestly,
but it can be done.
Sometimes you don't have that glassy day. If you're out on the lake, sometimes you got a little bit of wind chop or that boat comes by and you get the boat wake. And so instead of being like, oh no, the boat wake is coming, you just flip it and you just ride that boat wake and you have fun on that instead of being like worried and going down on your knees. This is a board that you just play around on it.
For sure. And in our bay, in the Semiahmoo Bay, sometimes we get some pretty major wind swell coming from the Strait of Georgia. There'll be storms and stuff out there, and we'll get wind 40 knots, something like that. And so it brings a lot of swell into our bay. Typically, we don't see that. But when we do, we don't get breaking waves, but the swell can get big enough that a board like this is actually a lot of fun to play out. So when you look out onto the water, you think, geez, that looks a little bit aggressive, or maybe I shouldn't go out there. It really depends on your skill. But if you have all the right gear, PFD, things like that, leash, of course, and you have somebody that you're going with, which I always recommend, especially in the choppy conditions, this can be a really fun board in the ugly stuff that you wouldn't typically see. So,
yeah. Can we talk about Colleen's artwork? Are we ready to talk about, the art?
Of course.
Hang on the board for a sec. I'm going to grab her print.
So one thing about Sea Gods, if you don't already know, and I think it's getting to be fairly well known, is all of the boards we make, we commission the artwork exclusively for Sea Gods from independent artists. So not only do we produce a board that's really high performing, but it also looks really great.
Yeah.
And a lot of our boards have now graphics that are based on paintings. And this one here actually has a painting hanging in our office for the top and for the bottom. So this isn't just something, Chat GPT or whatever, I'm not a tech guy, designed. This is an actual watercolor painting, and it's made using high def photos. Actually, in this case, I think it was scanned in a special machine to make the print on this board. So this is based on an actual painting that's hanging in our office.
Yeah. So Colleen Wilcox is like my favorite Hawaiian artist, and she does these amazing watercolors. And so, I fell in love with her art, and I reached out to her and wrote her some emails and reached out through a couple different ways and didn't hear back. And I was like, oh, she's too big. She's too cool for us. And then finally we heard back, and she was like, I'm sorry I missed you. She just had her first child when I was reaching out to her. And so if you look at this board, this is the first piece of artwork she did after her child. And so there's 3 of these beautiful spotted eagle rays on the bottom. And then on the top is 3 gulls, which are really beautiful. And then on the pad is a splice bonded EVA foam, which means that the 2 colors here are like cookie cutter cut out and then bonded together.
Manually, by hand, by the way.
Yeah, you know what? Like our folks who are on the production line, they are the masters, and we're always pushing it, asking them to like do something more complicated, and they're digging it. They walk around being like, we make Sea Gods boards. They are the masters. They're the ones who train everyone else, and they're the ones who like take so much pride in what they make for us.
So just on the pads, a lot of people don't actually necessarily realize, and it's hard to tell when you're looking at it on a website or something like that. I see there's some questions and comments coming up. I'll get to those in just one second. All of the pads on every board we make, except the Diatom ULF, when you see the different colors, the shapes, those are actually different pieces of colored foam that are put together by hand and then glued together just like a puzzle. So some of them are a little bit more intricate. The Diatom CX and the Carta Marina CX, we'll show those boards off today for sure.
Yeah.
You'll see that it's not just printed, it's actually foam put together like a puzzle. But I'm going to get to these questions here.
All right,
so
girl, come out of the way,
get close up in my face. Nadia, hi everyone, I'm Nadia from France. Your boards are amazing and very beautiful. Thank you for the feedback, Nadia. That's really awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Amazing art. It's a really good idea to integrate art and the paddleboard. That's a great comment, and we agree. We actually never understood why nobody was taking advantage of making a statement with basically the biggest canvas in board sports.
Yeah.
And so when we started making paddleboards, we were obviously already paddleboarders, but we were just we were struggling to find something that was really inspiring from a paddleboard perspective. And when you think about wakeboard, skateboard, stuff like that, a lot of them are really awesome. And so you can pick for performance. And once you decide the performance you want, you can pick for like what board actually speaks to you. And so we thought we need to make something that performs as well as we want it to, but we want it to look as awesome as we want it to look. And we started engaging with artists. And in the last 6 years, we've worked with some really amazing people. And now we have the showroom, which is really like half art gallery, half paddleboard gallery.
It super is.
So there's like all kinds of original pieces in here that we've used on our boards throughout the years.
Why don't you pull down Heather's board and we can show the difference?
Just going to get to these next questions.
Oh yeah,
here.
First I just wanted to say, Nadia, I think that if you're from France, maybe you've been speaking with Laura in the chats. Because Laura she's rocking it. She's just like the most amazing. She kind of does everything. I don't know. Manager.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't really do titles.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
But she's from France, so
yeah,
which is just kind of cool. She came to White Rock, looking for work, hired her, and she's amazing.
Yeah, and she is French and has like the most beautiful personality. So Nadia, I think maybe. Oh yeah, you have been talking to her. Awesome.
Okay, Luke, awesome boards. Thank you. Couldn't agree more. Pete, I love the art. It's the coolest thing about your products over the stuff on Amazon, for example. Thanks, Pete. We actually do sell on Amazon because just trying to get our boards out there a little bit more and bring a little bit more life into what is out there on Amazon.
But we don't fulfill through Amazon. Like,
We actually
it's kind
fulfill
of
them all ourselves.
Yeah, it's still all in-house. It's like a platform now. Amazon is.
We don't need to get into it.
Yeah.
It's just Amazon.
Anyway,
Who cares?
but yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we don't. Whatever. Who cares?
Mary, I like it.
Gerald, what are the main differences between ULF and CX, and what are the advantages between them? That's a really great question.
Love it.
So ULF is the technology we use. I don't want those yet.
Oh, okay.
Is the technology that we use for our upper and lower layers, is what I like to say. So ULF stands for ultralight fusion. That's how we make the top layer and the bottom layer adhere to the drop stitch. And so ultralight fusion means we basically take the PVC layer and the drop stitch, which are two different things, and they get laminated together without the use of glue. It creates an upper and bottom layer that's more rigid and more light, and it's not subject to delamination like you see with some of the less expensive boards that use glue, because glue can be affected in different ways, whereas when it's laminated, it basically makes the drop stitch and the PVC one piece.
It makes a difference between a 1 to 2 year warranty, which tells you right away that's glue, because that's the expected lifetime of that glue versus lifetime warranty.
Yeah.
So
that's ULF, and we actually use ULF on both lines of boards. The difference with our ULF line is the drop stitch strings on the inside. It's woven linear drop stitch. So what that means is the top and bottom layers of your board are held together with millions of little strings. If you were to look up closely at a board, which you probably won't be able to see from this camera, this is a clear example of what it looks like. This is our ULF, and you're not going to be able to see in here, but this is our linear drop stitch. So the top and bottom layers of the drop stitch itself, before it's laminated with PVC, is woven. And then the linear strings go straight up and down, and that's what holds its shape. Without those strings, when you inflated your board, it would inflate to look like a tube. So you need this to hold the top and bottom layers together. Now, that's ULF, the linear drop stitch. With CX, CX is a woven drop stitch, but the strings don't go straight up and down. They crisscross. And so if you've ever been in one of those fancy restaurants that's like open steel frame and wood beam buildings, you might have seen the big cables that go crisscross on the outside of the structure. That's what holds the building together from moving back and forth laterally from one layer to the next. So using that same idea, we have cross, weave, drop stitch. So now, instead of the strings going up and down, they crisscross, which gives you more rigidity laterally. This is big words here. And by doing so, we actually can use a lot less material. So what happens is with the CX boards, we get slightly more rigidity, but we get 20% less weight because we're not using nearly as much material. So your main advantage is your weight loss. So for example, we have the Carta Marina CX and the Carta Marina ULF. The Carta Marina ULF is about 25 pounds. I think it's 25 point something. I don't know off by heart. And the CX version is 21 pounds, which doesn't sound like a lot.
No. Oh, yeah.
But if you are in our bay, for example, at really low tides, sometimes the intertidal zone's over 500 meters. So if you're carrying that board from where you're set up at high tide all the way to the water when the low tide comes in, that 5 pounds makes a huge difference. Yeah. And if you're a little bit adventurous, like we try to get a couple times a year, we'll hike these boards up to alpine lakes. And sometimes it's a 10-kilometer hike with a board on your back. You'll be real glad that you don't have that extra 5 pounds. And finally, the CX boards come with a 2-chamber pump, which just means that at the lower pressures, you get more volume per stroke with the pump. So it's a little bit faster to inflate. It takes about a minute less time to inflate a CX with the pump that it comes with. So hopefully that answers your questions. And geez, I'm falling behind.
Yeah,
Nadia, yes, I spoke to Laura. That's terrific. I hope you had a great experience. I'm sure you did because she's awesome. Mary, how can we buy one of these? So we have a couple more sales to talk about, but with the BOGO sale, you can check out our website, www.seagods.ca. And also, if you're in the US, Seagods Sup, so SeaGodsSup.com. You can check out the boards. For the BOGO sale, add 2 boards to your cart, whatever 2 you're interested in. And then at checkout, you enter BOGO35. That'll take 35% off one of your boards. So it's a pretty great deal. It'll save you, honestly, hundreds of dollars.
Totally.
But if you're not interested in 2 boards, we have some other sales that we're going to talk about here as soon as I get through these questions, because I need to catch up here. Nadia, true, I agree. She gave me great advice. That's
Nice.
awesome to hear. Laura is out right now giving boards to the YMCA. So we provide boards to the YMCA every summer for summer camps. So I will let her know of the awesome feedback.
People keep wanting rentals, and we don't do rentals, but we can't say no to those kids.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Luke, nice throw and good catch. Well, I have a 6-year-old. We've been learning. I don't play sports. Paddleboarding is about the only one. Gerald, I bought the Carta Marina CX and it's awesome, and I could stand within the first few minutes and paddled it 5 kilometers on the first go, with it being the second time on a paddleboard in my life.
You know what, Gerald? We got
That's
your
amazing.
email and we actually read it. I don't know if you know, we read your email on one of our Instagram stories, because that was so cool that you took the time to write that and send it. Thank you very much, because we're in the shop, we're doing the production, I'm working with the artists, doing the business end. And we kind of get tired of the business sometimes. We're like, oh, what are we doing it for? And then we get an email like that.
Yeah.
And we're like, holy cow, people are out in France, in Australia, down in the States, all over Canada, riding these boards and having a good time. And we're like, yeah, that's why we do it.
Yeah. So if you do have a Sea Gods board, please, by all means, give us any feedback. We love the feedback.
Totally.
Throughout the entire year. If depending on the feedback we get, maybe it's something we can implement in our boards as we grow. So anything about your experience, good or bad, we do love to hear about it.
Yeah.
Tracy, can you suggest a good beginner board? The only board that is not good for beginners, in my opinion, is the Kados, which you can't really see. It's our race board. Yeah. It's super unstable. It's really meant for going forward. So that's a board I don't recommend. Any other board is honestly quite stable, and we've had beginners be successful on every single one. Like Gerald just said there, Carta Marina is our touring board. It's 32 inches wide by 12 feet long. The 12 feet gives it like a good tracking and glide. Second time out, 5 kilometers.
Amazing.
Nailed it. So that's awesome. Yeah. But typically, if you're just getting into the sport, if you don't know how far you want to go, maybe you're thinking about just chilling around the lake, around the dock, something like that, or maybe you'll go a couple kilometers or a couple miles here and there, or you're going to have kids playing with it, depending on what your use is. Our real beginner focus board is the Diatom CX or ULF. They both have the same on-water performance, but the Diatom is 34 inches wide and 10 foot 6. The 10 foot 6 gives you a little bit of extra maneuverability, so you can play around as your skills grow. And actually, I have a lot of fun with the Diatom as well, because it's so difficult to fall off on, so you can really push your skills a little bit. But it's also a really terrific cruiser. So if you do decide, hey, you know what, I want to go 5 kilometers or 4 miles or something like that, that's an absolutely,
you can still do it.
That's absolutely an option still. So the Diatom typically is our beginner board that we suggest for folks just getting into it who are a little bit unsure. Yeah,
to be honest, I'm doing a lesson tonight, total beginners, and I'm going to teach on the elemental waves, because if I teach on the Diatom, they're not going to fall off. And if they don't fall off, they don't learn how to get back on. And that's part of an intro to SUP lesson, is learning what are your limitations and how to be prepared when you're out there without an instructor. So I'm going to take them out on the elemental waves, and I'm going to challenge their footing until they fall off. And then, you fall off once or twice, you get your balance going, and then you know what's up, and you're going to have a lot of success. I keep saying the elemental wave is a board that most people need, unless you have this desire to be what's way over there? And you want to bring a bag. Then you're going to be looking at the Carta Marina, which is the touring board. And then if you feel like you really want to keep your hair dry, maybe you're not confident in your athleticism, or you have some needs for some extra stability, then you're going to be going to the Diatom and the Skyla.
Or maybe you just think it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a problem taking the Diatom out. And I paddle for a living. So, it's really, anyone is a great option. You just have to think about what kind of paddling you want to do. and we should set you up with what your goals are rather than get you on something that you might find you'll be unhappy with in the first month or two.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Let's just get you set up properly the first time. So Adam wants to know, Skyla versus Carta. I'll throw my elementals back. You can talk about your board. And Gerald.
Skyla versus Carta Marina. For sure, Adam, let's do it. Let's do it.
And Gerald, for those of us thinking I may have special abilities, that you had success, you know what, Gerald? I believe you are a rock star. But your average fitness and 61 years old. You know what? This sport is so low impact, and it is simple. I mean, you can take lessons and progress your skills and get really good at like the sculling draw stroke and your pivot stroke and all that. But honestly, with paddleboarding, you just stand up and you go and you build your core and you build your shoulders and you build all the muscles in your body. And it's just going to keep that lifestyle fitness. And it has been super popular with the pickleball crowd. Honestly, we're getting a ton of folks who are tired of getting their waves splashed over them surfing, and now they're moving to paddleboarding. Or, you know, they're nursing some kind of injury from running or pickleball or tennis or whatever. And this is a really amazing way to keep that lifestyle fitness. So I think a lot of seniors think that they're, you know, maybe an anomaly. Pearl, come on out of here. But it's actually super popular with like the 50, 60, 70-year-old crowd. So well done. Well done, Gerald. In terms of a workout, what are the key muscle groups used? Let's see. I'm going to grab a paddle here because I'm visual, you know.
Hold on, are you skipping questions?
No, we're good. We're good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so when you're paddling, you know, you can just sort of like work with your arms and take really long strokes. And some people, that's where they're at. Some people are in the kayak seat and then they're back and forth in the seated position. And that's where they're at. And some people shorten up their paddle and really dig in and think about pulling your feet to the paddle and scooting that board forward over the water surface. And that's when you're going to get all the core. But really, you want to lean that top hand over. So you've got a little triangle here, your window you're looking through. And so just imagine how that's going to tighten and tone everything on that side. You've got your legs working. You've got your hips. You've got your back. Like, I don't know. After a good day out, it's kind of everywhere.
Basically,
it's not really like one spot.
You're working your quads for sure because your knees are slightly bent, and that's like a balance thing, which also works your core. But the two drivers, if we're talking about paddling, is your shoulders and your lats. And there's two ways to address this. And when we have folks come in who have never paddled before, they say, how long should my paddle be? And so we tell people, this is how long it should be. You stick your arm straight up in the air, and I'm just off camera, I think, but my wrist, right where my wrist breaks, if my arm is straight, that's where you put the handle of your paddle, just in the nook there. That is a great spot to start with your paddle length. But the longer your paddle, the more shoulders you're using. Because now you have to reach, right? And you have, it's almost like a pull down movement with this paddle. And so if you're like me, I've had shoulder surgery. I don't like to use my shoulders as much, and I can derive more power from my lats than I can from my shoulders. And so I make my paddle actually quite short. This is typically how much it is. It's about the same height as me. And that forces me to engage my lats.
This is your lat right here. I don't know if anyone is not a trainer.
And they actually come all the way up the middle of your back. And they meet where your trapezius muscle goes down the middle of your back. And so now with the shorter paddle, yes, I still use my shoulders, but now my back is doing a lot of the pulling motion. And I find it's easier on my shoulders having had surgery. But also I can get a way more powerful stroke because now my lats are doing a lot more of the work, and your lats are a much bigger muscle than your shoulders are. In fact, your lat is the biggest single muscle in your entire body. Quads are your glutes. Quads are the biggest group. Glutes, I don't know where they sit on there, but that's the biggest one.
All right, Carta versus Skyla.
Carta versus Skyla.
All right.
So to give a real quick overview about the Skyla was designed because we had a lot of folks that were interested in the stability of the all-around shapes, but wanted something that would grow a little bit more with their goals, which is going a little bit further maybe. And so the Skyla is basically, we took the diatom and we took the Carta Marina, mashed them together. The shape we got out of it was the Skyla. So it's wider at the back than the Carta Marina is, but it's still square.
Let's get the tails on
pointy.
camera here.
It's pointy at the front, just like the Carta Marina is, but it's 33 inches wide. And I'm telling you that 1 inch doesn't sound like a lot. It makes a massive difference between the Carta Marina and the Skyla. And another reason for that is because at 33, it also tapers a little bit less quickly than the Carta does. So the Carta is 32 at its widest, and it tapers right away. The Skyla carries that 33 for a little bit longer before it starts to taper. So you just get a little bit more stability and more volume out of it. So
what does that mean when you're paddling?
What does that mean when you're paddling?
Experience, if you're not really thinking about too much shape, you're thinking about how many strokes are you going to take versus me to go to the same place?
So a couple of things. The Skyla is going to be more stable, so you'll have that experience. Because of its stability, you'll likely find it to be a little bit more playful. And because it's shorter, you'll likely find it to be a little bit more maneuverable. But in terms of going distances, and this won't be totally accurate, but the Carta Marina is much more efficient. And so the best way to put that into words is, if you want to go 15 kilometers, 10 miles, something like that, and just for an arbitrary number, say it takes 15,000 strokes with your paddle to get there on the Carta Marina. To go the same distance in the same time, that might mean on the Skyla, you're going to be taking 17,500 strokes, which means you're going to have a faster cadence, and you're going to be taking more strokes in the same amount of time to get the exact same distance. So it's going to take more work. And so say it takes you 2 hours to do that distance on both boards. One board, you've done 2,500 more strokes in the same amount of time. So you're working harder. The board is resisting a little bit more. That's really what the difference is.
But user experience, when we went to Cabo San Lucas and we were staying at the Rio Santa Fe for a week with our folks. Well, we couldn't handle a week there. A couple days was more than enough at the Rio. And so we left the kids with the folks and we paddled across to the Land's End. And, we didn't get out early enough in the morning, and there's big cruise ships, and the waves and the cruise ship wake made for like this awful sloppy bay. And there was just waves randomly coming out of nowhere with no rhyme or reason. And I was on the Skyla and Ryan was on the Carta. He was working way harder with his stabilizers than I was. So I was able to focus more on like my paddle stroke, where he's needing to worry about the stabilizers.
That's because you were going so slow.
Oh, well.
You'll find stability with speed. It's like snowboarding. The faster you're moving forward, the more stable your board will be. And that's actually true of any board shape.
That's true.
And then the other part to that, when we talk about stability, a lot of stability actually comes from your paddle style.
Yeah.
So you have to treat your paddle like a third leg. If you're standing in just wavy water and you're holding your paddle up in the air like this, you're kind of doing this, but you have your paddle in the ground and you do like an ongoing sort of skull stroke, which is just your paddle going back and forth. It'll typically take you a little bit sideways, but you can get a lot of stability out of the resistance of your paddle in the water and then just holding it. So it's almost like having a railing that you can hold on to. It helps just keep you a little bit more stable.
So, but the point of that one is that we both made it together on two completely different boards. But for me, I'm 5'4.5", 5'5" if I'm like got good posture. And I don't enjoy carrying the Carta Marina if I don't need to, because it's longer. And when I go up and down steps, I actually have to carry it backwards with my hand on this handle here so that I don't whack the tail when I'm walking. Now, they're inflatable. If you whack your hardboard, you're like, no. But with an inflatable, it's more of like keep on trucking.
Little scuff.
Little scuff.
No big deal.
But the Skyla, for me, at my height is just way easier to carry out. And so I prefer it. And when you're turning on a board with a little more length, like 12 feet, you're standing in the middle. Now you have 6 feet in front of you that you need to push sideways through the water to turn. So you're going to want to do a step back. If you have long legs like Ryan, that's no problem to take a little step back and lift the nose out of the water and do a quick turn. But for me, it's more of like a couple step back shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
So can I do it? Yeah. Is it easy? Yeah. But if you're just learning, you might think that the Skyla is going to be a little bit easier to maneuver and give you that stability. But if you want to go further, Ryan's right, it's going to be the Carta.
Hopefully that answers your question. We need to move it along here.
Yeah.
It's already 35 minutes in, and we haven't even got to the rest of our sales yet.
My bad. Sorry about that.
Where were we here? How would you suggest keeping the boards and artwork from fading over time from scratches for top side and for bottom? We actually sell a care kit. It's called the Sup Cleaning Trio. It comes with what's called Blue Goo, which is an amazing cleaner for PVC. Don't use anything abrasive.
Oh, do not use a magic eraser.
Yeah, that's one thing that actually a lot of folks suggest in like Facebook chats and stuff like that. Magic eraser is awful for inflatable boards because
for your
it feels
on your walls.
It feels smooth, but it's actually like really, really fine sandpaper. So don't use that. Blue Goo is a non-toxic water-based cleaner that just cleans PVC really nice. And all you need is like a soft like towel, and that's it. It takes most of the scuffs off.
Yeah.
Extreme Cream is another thing that's in that Sup Cleaning Trio. It's a UV protectant, and it also actually reduces the coefficient of friction. So it'll make your board, most folks wouldn't notice the difference, but if you got into racing and stuff, it makes a difference. And then we also sell what's called deck pad cleaner. So deck pad cleaner is really great for cleaning EVA foam, and it's actually really great for cleaning neoprene. So if you wear a wetsuit, it's similar to a product that Rip Curl makes called Piss Off.
So that's the Blue Goo. This is what you're going to use to take off scuffs and scum.
Yeah.
This is one you're going to use on your handles and your deck pad and your stanky wetsuit booties. And this is your UV protectant that you want to put on if you're using your board. You want to keep it fresh for a couple years. It's more of like a wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next one, is it possible to surf a little bit with the Elemental Wave CX? Yes, it is possible to surf. Surfing inflatables is a little bit more difficult than surfing a composite board because you just don't get the same rail shapes that you get with the composite board. But last time we surfed would have been...
Well, I was doing it on Canada Day.
I surfed in Puerto Vallarta not too long ago.
I was out on Canada Day.
Canada Day, we were
because it
surfing
wasn't
a little
flat,
bit because the bay was just disgusting.
Bumps.
And we were actually in San Onofre in December last year, and we brought the Elemental Waves with us, and so we surfed there a little bit.
Yeah.
Last question from Lyle. Will you be doing this each week? I want to tell my buddies this is a thing.
Thank you so much. Lyle, we want to do it every week. This is the third time we've done it. Our first time was June 9th, I think. I'll have to double check that. So this is our third one. So we are going to start doing this more often because we do love connecting with all you guys.
And thanks for wanting to share that.
This is on my
That's
shop
awesome.
app. Yes, it is on the shop app. The shop app is actually owned by Shopify. It's a great place for shopping. That's why it's called the shop app, I guess. Oh, you're scrolling too fast. Carta Marina and Katos are the best looking boards around, in my opinion. Thank you.
Yeah, which one do you love?
The Katos I actually really love because I like the whales. Luke McBain is the artist. He was the first artist we ever worked with. We used to make composite boards, and he did our first one. And whales are just really cool. We get humpbacks here. Blue whales we don't get here. But blue whales actually race each other to establish dominance. So that's kind of why we put it on the race board. Which board would be best for my wife? She is a beginner. That really depends on what kind of paddling your wife wants to get into. Like I've mentioned before, any of our boards are great for beginners. If your wife is a little bit smaller, the Elemental Wave, ULF, or CX are both really terrific options for like 80% of paddlers out there. The Diatom, similar shape to the Elemental Wave. It's just a little bit wider, so it provides that extra balance or stability, I should say, but it's still a really fun board. So both are great for beginners. The Diatom is our best seller because so many beginners come to us for help, and so we can provide them education about the sport, and they get a really great board out of it. Plus, we get to provide a lot of customer service and support like we were doing with this thing. So hopefully that answers your question, Alberto. If you have more, just put them in the chat. Is it better to store the board partly inflated or deflated? We recommend storing them deflated in the bag. The reason why we recommend that is because if they're rinsed, you don't have to worry about if you're in salt water, the salt will become abrasive once the water evaporates. Or if you're in fresh water, it's important to rinse, especially around here where you get zebra mussel infestations in lakes. So it's really important to make sure your boards are clean. And then putting them away in your bag protects them from abrasion. If you're traveling, say you just throw your board in the back of your truck or something like that, it protects it from UV, all these things. I do say that with a grain of salt though, because we actually store all of our boards in our garage. Our garage gets pretty hot. And so we leave them at about 12 PSI, fully inflated, but we're really close to the beach, which is why we leave them inflated, because it's just a grab and go for us. But typically putting them in the bag is the best way to do it. I've used them. The wax makes the board go faster. Kelly, yes, it does. If you follow any of the race circuits or anything like that, there's the one, now of course I'm going.
The Chattajack.
The Chattajack. Yeah, it's in Tennessee, I think.
Actually, Extreme Cream
We had to send a bunch of it to them because they use it for their race boards down there.
Yeah, it's actually a race product and it's made for that, but it's also an amazing UV protectant to keep it looking fresh.
Yeah. Nadia, thanks for the answer. You're welcome. Lyle, awesome. Thanks. You're welcome. You're interested. Any tips on board storage in the condo with limited space? Honestly, if you're trying to pack it up real tight, you can use the deflate function of the manual pump or the electric pump if you have it. It makes it a little bit easier to roll it up a little bit tighter.
Well, a lot of people are wondering, and I hear this on the chats all the time, because they don't have like a garden hose. They go paddleboarding, they bring it home, they put it in their car in the bag, but we keep talking about keeping it clean. So we take it out of the bag and you can keep it rolled up, but like put it up and down like a cinnamon bun in your shower and give it a little hose off.
Yeah. Some people will bring a 4-liter empty jug of, like, used to be a jug of milk. Now they just fill it with tap water and it's a quick rinse sometimes is enough.
Yeah, unless you're from Ontario, you don't know what a jug of milk is.
Yeah.
Just use a jug. They've got their milk in bags.
Yeah. Alberta, perfect. That's great. I'll show one. Actually, I just purchased a diatom. I love it. Any recommendations on what PSI to inflate to? What PSI to inflate to is a little bit subjective. It depends on what kind of riding you want to do. Typically 14 to 18 PSI, you'll find your sweet spot.
Sweet spot, yeah.
15 is great for most riders. 14 is great for a lot of riders too. I'm a little bit bigger, 6'2", 220, so I like to inflate my board to 20 PSI. Keep
in mind, it's also a lot easier for Ryan with his upper body weight to inflate it to 20. It's not a big deal for him. For a lot of folks, like me, when I'm using that hand pump at the higher PSI, I need to lock my elbows and drop my legs because I don't have a lot of upper body weight to do it with. So it's going to be sweet, anything over 14, and you'll be good.
I think most riders wouldn't notice the difference between 15 and 18. Most riders wouldn't. But once your skills start to grow, you will start to notice, you know what, I really do want to go 20 PSI. And so then it's worth it.
Totally.
Can they be stored in a shed in the winter? In Toronto, yes, they can freeze. They need to be thawed for sure before you try to manipulate them, though. So if you put your board rolled up in a bag, it's stored in the shed,
you'll be fine as long as it's not getting knocked or banged around, or you don't decide you're going to go out like, what's that guy?
I don't know, but we don't have that much time. So
okay. He's a frozen surfer.
Yeah.
All right.
No, we're not shutting down the questions, but we just don't need to go into the long stories. Mandy and I ramble like I'm doing right now.
We do.
I love my Carter Marina 18 PSI. An electric pump is a lifesaver too. Yes, electric pump is pretty sweet. Arwen, this is fun. Every store should do this. So cool to get to talk with you. Thanks for doing this. You're welcome. We love doing it too. Totally. That is the last one so far. So let's move on to some more sales. Sample sales. So the first time we did this, we had a bunch of samples. And when we call them samples, that means boards that, we tested on. Maybe they got a little bit scuffed in the process, something like that. It's basically a brand new board, except it may have some scratches. It may come with, I think some of them come with an older version of our manual pump, but the pump is brand new. The paddle's brand new. The bag is brand new. The fin is brand new. The board may have some scuffs on it, but nothing that will affect warranty. Mandy's over there opening one up right now. I don't think we'll unroll the entire thing because you won't notice the scuffs on the camera that we have. But you basically get an entire brand new package, except it's 30% off. We sold a bunch of them in the last month. We have 4 left. We have 2 Medusas left. The Medusa is our yoga-inspired board. It's great for multiple riders, and it's also extremely stable if you want to do yoga. We have a yoga class that we don't put on, but a very good friend of ours, Toby Booker, does on Wednesdays. I think it's Wednesdays.
It's Wednesday night
It's
down in the Pacific.
Gorgeous. So it's great for that. But this is a sample Medusa right here, brand new bag, everything in it's still brand new. It's really great price. You still get the warranty, and we're still going to ship it to you for free anywhere in North America.
Yeah, is this on? Can I go show some artwork?
Yes, that's on.
Yeah.
And now I'm streaming.
All right.
Oh, there we go.
Here we go. So I'm going to bring you into the girls' office here.
So Mandy's showing off some of the paintings. This is the painting for the Medusa.
It's actually 2 canvases, and this one is humongous. And then this is by Christine Kuo, and her jellies are
Eric,
amazing.
can you just bring up the sample sale? You just have to drag it up onto the screen there. Sample sale. Yeah, so drag it up.
All right. Bringing us back.
Click done. There it is. Now just drag that up. You should be able to drag it up. Maybe you can't. Technical difficulties. We're new at this.
You can open it, then it gives me this sample sale Medusa.
Yeah, you can drag those up. See where it's got the little squares at the bottom there. There you go. That's the Medusa there. So you can just click on that link and you can buy it through here. And Eric, if you want to drag up the Kados into the one right beside it.
Sweet. So when you get one of our board packages,
maybe it only lets you do it at a time. What are you going to do?
Yeah, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see the bag, and you're going to open it up. And this is a sample one. And so we have, this is the red Bravo pump, but it's not a regular pump, but it is a great pump. And then everything else is going to have corn packaging. So this is not plastic. This is corn-based packaging because you want it to arrive to you without any abrasion or rubs or anything, right? And everything's going to be neatly packed, and it comes with the shoulder carry strap. So the shoulder carry strap is important because this board has handles on either side of it instead of in the middle.
Yeah, it's a sweet board.
It is.
It's a sweet board, and we have the Infinite Mantra, which is also a yoga-inspired board. The Medusa is the CX version of the Infinite Mantra. The reason why we changed the name is because the Infinite Mantra is the name of the studio of Lindsay Kokoska, who provided the art for us for the Infinite Mantra. And we didn't want to keep using her name on a board she didn't do the artwork on. We're really big about supporting the artists in any way we can. And so that's why we changed it to Medusa. And
if you don't know that Medusa is not just like that Greek
Medusa
goddess.
is a jellyfish.
Medusa is
a scientific term.
name.
That's
you got
a scientific name.
All right.
Okay. There's a link to everything you're selling today. So you can see the Medusa up there. If you do want to buy anything with the sales, the sale for the sample, you can buy it right through this app here, or you can go to seagods.ca or seagodssup. That's SEAGODSSUP.com. That is our US-based site, so you can get the samples there. If you have any questions further, because we've only got 10 minutes left, you can just hit us up on the chat. A lot of the time, it's just Mandy and I. So a lot of people don't realize that Mandy and I are the founders, but we also provide a really large chunk of the customer service. So a lot of the times, especially if it's after hours, if people are asking questions on the chat, you're actually talking to one of us. We don't outsource any of that stuff.
We were down in Baja, and I'm actually like on the paddleboard, and I'm like, oh, I got service. And I was like helping out 3 folks to get set up with the right board while my kids were swimming around. It's kind of how we roll.
And I bought my Diatom as a sample sale with a scuff. Great way to save. I love my board. Do you have any kids sample boards for sale? We don't have kids sample boards for sale, but that's a terrific segue because we do have the kids board on just blanket 40% off if you're interested in a kids board. Eric's going to put it up on the screen right now. You can buy it through this app. It is 40% off, which is something we've never done. You've got a life jacket on the back here.
Oh yeah, if you've got kids, get them set up with a nice life jacket that they're going to want to wear.
Boop.
And these Mustang Survivals are what our kids wear, and they're soft and they're just comfortable.
Yeah.
They don't get brash.
So this is the kids board. It's called the ASR. ASR stands for Adult Supervision Required. We thought that was hilarious. That's what it says in small letters on the side. It comes with permanent fins, which is not something we typically do. But if you've got kids like our kids, we lose a lot of stuff. And fins are easy to lose if you're not paying attention. So it's just kind of eliminating that extra thing where you have to put together. The kids can just take it out and go.
You can't have your fin on a board and sit on it, right? You've got to take your fin off. So with the kids, they can jump on it. They can go out. When we have like a really shallow intertidal zone area, that's where our kids started, where it was only like knee deep. Go for it, guys. And we would kind of just like sit out to block the area where they can't go too far. And they would just screw around and they would really hone their skills. And I'm going to tell you, your kids are going to be better at this than you are. So
it's
be
like being on the
prepared for
ski
that.
hill. You know, when I started snowboarding, I was 29.
Yeah.
Going down the ski hill, and you got these little kids. It's like a missile beside you, and it's like, what are they doing?
Yeah, but Camille made her video on this at 6 years old. She could carry it. She could put her leash on. The kids can pump it up together. They can hook up that pump, and she can paddle it. And so 6 years old, I would say probably up to 10.
Yeah.
If they're 10 years old, you're going to want to go to the elemental wave for them.
Yeah. We brought these boards with
perfect.
us to Baja, and one of the beaches that we camped at in our van was called Playa Armenta. And our kids are starting to get really, they're aware of the dangers of the ocean now because they've been raised around it. And so they know that they got their life jackets. They know a little bit about waves, a little bit about current. And so we would wake up in the morning and they would just grab their boards and go in the little bay that we were staying at. And like, water's calm, they got their life jacket, they got their leash, their paddle strokes are actually pretty respectable for a 6 and 8 year old.
Now, we're not just letting our kids go out into the open ocean on their own. We've got our board ready to go on the tip of the shore, and like, we're always watching.
Everything within
like
reason.
A mama bear.
But just real quick, a little bit about this artwork. Olivia DiLiberto did this art for us. She does a lot of murals in Vancouver, which is kind of close to where we're from in White Rock. And she actually came to our house, and her and Camille, our daughter, who was 6 at the time, she might have even been 5.
I think she's 5.
We're sketching out the ideas on one of our windows with dry erase markers. And so the art that's on the bottom of this is really out of a little girl's mind.
Okay, what size kid could use this? 120-pound 15-year-old? No, Anya, your 15-year-old is going to be too big for this. She's going to be on the elemental wave. Is going to be awesome.
Yeah, elemental wave CX is what I would go with because it's super lightweight. She'll be able to carry it, or he'll be able to carry it no problem to the water. And once you start getting over 100 pounds, that's a board you're going to have a lot more fun at. You'll find that this board is just not quite enough anymore.
I don't know your kids. Armin, actually, I've done a bunch of lessons for kids and the YMCA kids. We can put like 3 kids on there screwing around, pushing each other through the water. It's great for that. But then they can get up paddling. And actually, Camille can paddle with Pearl on this one.
Okay. Parade, how does one get their art on these majestic boards? That's a great question as well. We are doing an artist search. We've already chosen a couple artists. Won't talk about them until later. That's top secret.
Yeah.
But send your portfolio to Mandy, MANDY, at seagods.ca. That's Mandy right here. She does all of our art searching stuff, and that's really great timing. So send your portfolio over. We don't do spec work or anything like that. We don't ask for art for free. We don't ask you to come up with a design before we consider. We look at portfolios. We fall in love with portfolios, and then we engage the artist to see if they're interested in working with us. That's how we do our choice.
Is there a link for the sale board? So the ASR is in the chat here.
Eric, bring up that ASR.
Yep. There we go. Yeah, it's up there.
You can just click the star. You can click the star, drag it up. There you go.
Nice.
There's the ASR board. So you can follow that in there. If you're looking for a different sale, just let us know. But we do have one last sale to talk about real quick. 5 minutes left. And if you guys have a bunch more questions, that's cool. I don't got any big plans. We can stay on a little bit longer to answer some questions if we have to.
Yeah, but Lyle, like, I'm glad that I was able to hook you up with some accessories. Totally. You know what? If you buy your board and you get the accessories, we put them in the same box, so you're not getting charged like any extra shipping fee. But once you've like bought your board, you think about it, and you get the extra accessories, it actually costs us a lot to ship. So we share the cost with you. So I try my best to reach out and see someone got a kayak seat, but not the paddle blade. You know what? Let's just check if you need that paddle blade to go with the kayak seat. And actually, I bundled it all together because people kept missing things and doing an order later. So if you look, it's called the Summer Essential Gear. I think it's Summer Essential
like
on the US site, and on the Canadian site, it's Essential Gear Pack.
Yep.
So check those out because you're going to get the camera mount, the shoulder carry, and all of it together.
The last thing, the Calypso. So the Calypsos are kayak.
Oh, yeah.
Get these boards out of here.
Oh, man, we're just full. I love it.
So the kayak, the inflatable kayak that we have, we actually sell a 2-person kayak, which sold out really fast this year. And we were a little bit caught off guard. So unfortunately, we don't have any tandem kayaks left. But we do have the Calypso, which is our single-person inflatable kayak. And you may have seen inflatable kayaks out there. There's a lot of different styles. And one of them that's common is the one that's more like 2 pontoons with a fabric bottom. It's closer to a pack raft than it is a kayak. That's not what this is. The Calypso is made out of 2 layers of drop stitch. So there's a drop stitch top, drop stitch bottom, then the rail along the side holds everything together. So it's just as rigid and sturdy as our inflatable paddleboards are. They can take a beating. And the sale on this board is 30% off. So if you're interested in buying this kayak, it's 30% off. I don't know if Eric can bring it up right now. Just the sale. You can bring up the sale link on there. So the Calypso is a great option if you want something that's portable, but you don't want to paddleboard, because this entire boat actually fits inside of a bag that's only a little bit bigger. We used to have one around here. We might have sold it.
Oh, no, it's blocking the door, so Pearl
Oh,
can't
it's blocking
escape.
the door. Perfect.
Yeah, so this carbon fiber paddle goes
So
this way.
this is the kayak.
Right here.
This isn't the kayak.
Oh.
It looks like this. This is a Cardarina. But the kayak fits in a bag really similar to this. It's just a little bit wider and a little bit taller. So it's a little bit cumbersome if you like carrying it places on your back. But in terms of portability, throwing it in the car, getting it to the waterfront from the parking lot, bringing it up to your apartment, whatever the case may be, it still has wheels on it, so you can still wheel it around. Everything rolls up. It's a really great option. And what I like about paddleboarding that you don't get with a lot of kayaking is that you can stand up and you get a different vantage point in the water. When you're looking straight down, you don't have the glare. And especially if you have polarized sunglasses,
or
you can really see the stuff in the water, which is one of the funner parts about paddleboarding. The kayak, you can actually do the same. I'll take this thing out to like a lake if we're camping, and I'll paddle around a little bit, but I'll also just stand up sometimes so I can see, or if I'm casting, like cast fishing, stuff like that.
Yeah, we have not had anyone tip or sink this. We keep getting questions about what is the weight limit. You know what? Pack people in here and let me know, because
we've had me and a kid and a dog in this thing, which is well over 300 pounds at that point.
Yeah, and like we're hanging on the front
deal.
and the back in the lake, jumping on it. And it's heavier than a paddleboard because it's, what, about 40 some pounds?
No, it's not. It's like 32, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not that strong, but
it's 100 pounds. Look at you carry it over here. No, it's not. I think it's 32 pounds.
Yeah.
We should weigh it.
We should weigh it.
We should probably weigh it so we know.
You know what? It's weighed, and all the stats are like
on the
product description.
It's on the website.
But, you know,
you can only memorize so many things.
This is how heavy it is.
But this kayak comes with a 4-piece carbon fiber shaft nylon blade kayak paddle. It comes with a seat. Comes with a boat, of course. In the bag, it comes with a fin. It's a 9-inch dolphin-style fin, which is like your standard fin. It's a slide-in fin. The reason why we went with a slide-in fin on the kayak instead of a US fin box like on our paddleboards is because it just makes it a little bit easier to roll up, and where the fin has to sit typically sits close to a roll.
But also because you can get a power fin that slides into this fin box, which was like one of the fun things at Ryan. We tried so hard to get these power. It's called a boost fin. They won't let us sell them. But if you get the Calypso and then you get the boost, you're just out there with your little joystick.
Yeah,
just
Bixby is another option if you're
yeah.
looking for one. BIXBY, which Skyview Outdoors in Vancouver sells them. Is another cool option if you want something that's inflatable but you don't feel like paddling. Some of these electric fins will get. They say they'll get you up to like 20 miles an hour. It's not true. They'll get you to like 5 to 7 miles an hour tops. But they're still kind of fun to play around with.
Yeah.
If that's something that you're interested in checking out. And
the seat, one of my favorite things, we made this seat to be so comfortable. It's the same seat that you can put on any of the paddle boards. It's a really nice,
we don't
thick
see a
foam.
shop button. Is the sail active? Sorry, we aren't good at technology. We are trying to get it figured out, but yeah, I see the buy right here now button. Thank you for activating that sail.
Awesome.
Seagull's shop cam join. I see no view button on my side.
You know, guys, just like honestly, we're going to be done in a few minutes here. If you want to get set up, you got some more questions, my number is right on the Google. It's right on like Founders.
Yeah, if you go to the contact page, I'm pretty sure it's my number and Mandy's number that's there. We once had somebody phone us at 10 at night being, oh, I didn't think I was going to get a person. I was like, well, I am still in the office having a drink, so what can I do for you?
Yeah, totally.
So that's kind of what we do. But it looks like it's working now. That's terrific.
Nice.
Sorry about the mix-up. Again, if you guys do have any questions, we won't kill the sale as soon as this is done. We've got the BOGO 35 on for buy one, get one, 35% off. We've got the samples, 2 Medusa, 2 Katos, 30% off. We got the Calypso, 30% off, and the ASR, 40% off. That's the most we've ever discounted that board.
Yeah, you know what?
We really want to see your families out there. Yep.
Yeah.
Enjoying the sport with your kids is pretty awesome, and watching their skills grow, as I'm sure a lot of folks on here know. Yeah. If they're in hockey, baseball, any sort of sport, and like they hit that first ball that like almost goes over the fence or score the first goal, it's really similar sort of amazing feeling as a parent when you see your kids are like, you know what, I want to go paddleboarding, and you're like, okay, great, go.
Are you tearing up right now?
No.
Oh, no, that's me.
Yeah. So, and you see them out there paddling around, and like maybe there's a little boat wake, and they kind of do the little kid wiggle, and don't fall off.
Out in San
It's amazing.
San Onofre, when we were out there, and Camille and Woodrow caught their first waves, Camille was terrified, and she had to go and sit down for a couple of minutes. And then she was like, all right, let's go again.
Yeah, it's a pretty awesome feeling.
Just went for
so
it.
now, whenever we travel, we always bring the kids' boards with us. It gives them a little bit of freedom. Obviously, do it safely. So if you are interested in a kids' board, hit us up about the Mustang Survival kids' life jackets too. Mustang Survival is a terrific brand. They've been making life jackets since 1967. They make life jackets for yacht racing. They make life jackets for NASA, for the re-entry astronaut stuff. They do a lot of really amazing things from a safety perspective, so definitely check them out, or we have their life jackets on our site as well. Nadia Whirling at Nadia, click the shop button in the bottom right. I can actually see it on my end, so hopefully you guys can find it.
Are they helping each other out in the chats? That's what I love about the SUP community.
Subculture, man.
Subculture.
That's what it is. We help each other
it.
out. Super inclusive.
Thank you.
Nadia, if you are looking for the sale and we can't get it figured out on our end, just let us know. We'll hook you up after this. It's no big deal. Nicest thanks. Okay, we are going to shut her down here in like 2 minutes. So please, if you guys have any other questions, you can watch me babble up here for a little bit longer. But if you do have any other questions, let us know. I'll answer them right now. Again, if you don't get your question answered, or if you think of it after this stream, just send us an email, hit us up on the chats. Mandy and I are both certified SUP instructors. Allison's not in today. She's a certified SUP instructor. Laura is extremely knowledgeable and will help you out. So again, ask us any questions you have. Otherwise, we're going to shut her down and go for lunch pretty soon.
These Katos boards, we have 2 of the samples, and it is a smoking deal. Like, honestly, there's nothing wrong. I think just when they move them from one workbench to the final workbench.
Sometimes they get scuffed.
Sometimes they like bump it on something. And we know our customers want to see, as perfect as people can make them. So that's probably why they're in the sample.
It's not just about that neither, but when you look at our boards, you obviously it's a high performance paddleboard.
Yeah.
But you also have to think of it as like a limited edition print. And so we're not just representing our brand, we're representing the artist's brand as well.
Yeah.
And so the prints have to be perfect. And we actually have customers that buy our boards only to put them on the wall. Mark Anthony Jacobson, famous Indigenous artist, helped us out with the Carter Marina ULF, tells an amazing story about the story of White Rock and how the Semiahmoo tribe was formed. And my mom was a huge fan of Mark Anthony Jacobson. She has the board just hanging in her stairwell, and she doesn't even paddleboard. And we had an interior designer from Nova Scotia buy a couple of boards to hang them on either side of the entryway to her back porch. I guess it was a big house.
Just like give that lake life feel.
Because it's a print. And honestly, I don't use them for artwork on our wall because we have the originals.
But we do hang them on our walls.
But we do hang them on our walls. We got two boards hanging on our walls in our house. And to be quite honest with you, in a lot of cases, a paddleboard from Sea Gods is less expensive than a print from the actual artist, which is just, it's just a thing. And that's why my mom was like, oh my God, I love Mark Anthony Jacobson. I'm going to hang this thing on my wall. So that is like just another cool part about our brand that a lot of people don't expect.
I just wanted to say those 2 Katos, we only have 2 at that crazy price, but do not buy it if you think you're just going to get it to save the money, but you're not sure you want the race board. If you're not sure, get the Carta Marina, because the Carta Marina is going to be...
Even though we don't have samples.
We don't have the samples of the Carta Marina, but you're going to be happier unless what you want to do is rip fast.
A couple more questions here real quick.
Yeah.
Holly, does the kids board come with a kid-size paddle? Yes, it does.
Oh, yeah.
It comes with a kid-size paddle. It comes with our standard single-chamber pump that comes with all of our ULF boards. It comes with the same bag.
It's a little bit smaller.
The bag's
so the kid's bag is a little bit smaller.
The leash is also an 8-foot leash instead of an 11-foot leash. Comes with the maintenance kit. So basically everything you need. This is the paddle. This isn't a carbon fiber paddle. You don't want your kids to have a carbon fiber paddle because carbon fiber, after you bang it on too many things, eventually will get stress fractures and break. So you have to take care of them. It comes with an aluminum paddle that's a little bit more kid-proof.
We just want to make it super easy for you. Make it bomb-proof for your kid. Here you go. Have fun. This paddle, even though it's aluminum, there's foam inside it, so it will float long enough to go and get it.
That's what we say.
Yeah.
It doesn't sink like a rock, but if you let it sit out there, eventually it will fill up with water. Eventually it will sink, but that's like 10 minutes. So we have. But Woodrow actually, our son uses his paddle as a shovel when he's not paddleboarding. So, that's the kind of things that kids do. So that's why we didn't go with carbon fiber.
Yeah,
but and that's a long way to answer that question.
We haven't lost or broke one yet. So.
Okay, just wondering if you can switch the Carta Marina fin with a diatom or elemental fin. Absolutely, you can. Any U.S. style fin will go into our fin boxes. U.S. universal fin box. That's kind of like the gold standard in paddleboards and surfboards. So you'll be able to go to any surf shop, paddle shop, something like that. You got to get going, by the way, and get a fin to replace it. So we have the click-in fin, which is toolless. It's super duper great because this little plug holds it in, but there's also a screw that comes with a fin, so you can screw it in. So this will work for any fin box. If you do buy a fin from us and you have a composite board, this will work as well, but you can't use these orange plugs because the way a fin box is encased in styrofoam, it just doesn't have the same give, so you have to use the screw. But this will fit in any US style fin box.
But let's just talk about the difference between the all-around and the touring.
Real quick, you got an appointment here.
Yeah,
now the whole world knows.
Okay, I get my eyes
These are the
checked.
two kinds of fins. This is a touring fin. This is your standard fin. This has more surface area. It gives you a little bit more stability at speed from side to side. This is a standard fin. It's on our all-around boards. This gives you tracking, same as this one does, but it gives you a little bit less stability in exchange for more maneuverability. Most paddlers won't notice the difference because most paddlers aren't ripping. But for folks who do, you will notice a difference with this, but they are totally interchangeable. A couple other fins we sell. This is a river fin. It's a similar sort of shape mix between these two, but it's only 4 inches. So if you're going in shallow waters, this will still provide some stability and it will provide some tracking, but it's shallower, so you aren't going to hit the bottom. If you've never paddled without a fin, try it one day. It sucks. It's impossible.
We have tidal rivers around here, and so I bring my river fin with me, And when it starts to get shallow, honestly, you just lift up the back of your board and you switch it.
This is a race fin that we sell. This isn't a click-in fin. This one you have to use a screw for. The benefits of this is if this has the most surface area out of any of our fins, and typically when you're racing, you're going really fast in a straight line. So this will still provide tracking, but you're really looking for side-to-side stability, especially if you get into downwinding, which is a whole nother presentation we'll have to do on another day because I could talk about that for hours.
Yeah, which we will. We will do it.
Which one I will look cooler on the beach in Toronto? Which fin will you look cooler on the beach with? As long as it's got a Sea God logo on it and it's fluorescent green, people will know you're cool, so you don't have to worry about looking cool. They'll just know. They don't have to ask.
I love that.
Okay, this was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It's super great to connect with everybody on here again. Yes. We are going to try and do this more often as we possibly can. So thank you so much for joining on this stream. If you have any questions, again, hit us up in the chat. We're going to shut her down. Thank you for the great presentation. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Again, you guys, look forward to hearing from you. If you have any comments on this stream, things you want to see, let us know in the chat or emails. Otherwise, have a super great Thursday.
Yeah, there we go. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye.